Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all my jelly beans. It is your sister Aisha here with another video wanting to discuss and engage with you on a very important topic that I have been thinking about more and more each and every day. SubhanAllah. I've been thinking about women, sisters, being educated in Islam and the content that us sisters are putting out there to the world and on social media and these types of things. SubhanAllah, I've been thinking about this because when I sit down and think about my life before marriage and after marriage, SubhanAllah, it's a very different life. Obviously, before marriage, you have so much free time, and you basically you're in charge of your time. There's no one really at your foot begging for your time, SubhanAllah. And now being married, obviously, I have a husband, I have a child, I have a family, and I have different responsibilities, and I have different things that I need to do throughout my day, SubhanAllah. And it has always been my dream to study Islam and to learn Islam in a classical way, how it has been taught for many generations, and I've always had a dream to go to Malaysia, SubhanAllah, and to study, or just learn Islam from a teacher, from a scholar, SubhanAllah. And now that I have my family life and things, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, how, as a sister that is married, that has a child, how can I engage with studying Islam? How can I engage with knowing my deen? So for those sisters who are not married yet, use your time wisely, because as you get older and once you do get married, once you do have kids, you're going to look back at all this free time you had and you're going to wish that you did use it for certain things, for different things, SubhanAllah. So going forward, what I want to tell you is that ever since I moved, I have been meeting more and more sisters who actually are hafiz of Quran, who are alamas, who have studied Quran, who have studied books of hadith, who are very knowledgeable. And SubhanAllah, I keep thinking we need more sisters who are educated like that on Islam. We need more sisters who take Islamic education more seriously, SubhanAllah, because these same sisters who are hafiz of Quran, who are studying the deen, they have something very rich to teach their children on a daily basis, SubhanAllah. And just for you yourself, when you're a sister and you know your deen, then we hear so many stories about sisters who, SubhanAllah, have been played and misguided by brothers or whatever it is, or other Muslims in general. And we've heard of stories of people leaving Islam because of misinformation or the way someone treated them or whatever it is. But the thing is, if you're not educated on your deen and you're not grounded in your deen, then anyone can come and whisper something in your ear to shake your faith, SubhanAllah. And we don't want that to happen, and none of us want that to happen. But I feel like as sisters, we need to really aspire to be more. And it's honest, when I go on social media, I feel like it's such a trap of the media and everything, that they focus on the Muslim woman's dress. How I'm dressed right now, this hijab, this niqab, whatever, this abaya. When we see sisters talking, a lot of it, we're talking about this is our right, this is our choice, just because we cover doesn't mean that we cannot do this, that, and the third. That is all great, and at one point we needed these conversations. We needed Muslim women to speak about their dress. We needed Muslim women to tell people, just because you're insecure about how we dress does not mean we are insecure about how we dress. We needed this talk. We needed Muslim women in hijab, in niqab, to show that, hey, I work, I study, I do this, that, and the third. I have a life, I'm not oppressed. But my problem with this is that we've been talking about it for so long. I feel like, okay, we don't have anything else to prove. We've already given our voice. Whether someone wants to accept that or not, that is now their problem. But the information is out there. Enough Muslim women, SubhanAllah, have been speaking up, alhamdulillah, and reclaiming their narrative. But my thing is, let's not get stuck on just speaking about hijab and niqab. we're much more than just how we're dressing. We're much more than, there's much more to our deen as Muslim women than just how we dress. It's a big part of our life, subhanallah, but now let's steer the narrative, let's steer the conversation to somewhere else. And I feel like, that's just some of my thoughts. So you may be thinking, that's great, and I'm a sister and I do want to study Islam, but yeah, I don't have time. I go to uni. Yeah, I am a mother. Yeah, I am a wife. Yeah, I am doing all these things. So how could Allah expect me to learn all this? Or how could I expect myself to study this deen? Now, what I would tell you is what I've been telling myself is that, subhanAllah, I'm losing my train of thought, but what I've been telling myself is that, first of all, if you want to do, before I get to that, I'll say, Allah did not make us to be like a monk who just stays secluded away from society, who stays secluded away from the hustle and bustle of life. And He did not make us to just stay in a corner and stay in a room and just worship Him and learn His religion and whatever it is. And that's really hard for me, because me personally, I love to be alone, because I feel like I want to spend my time the way I want to spend my time. And I don't like people pulling at my time, or I don't like to feel that, okay, I need to spend time with this one and that one and that one, because sometimes I feel like in socializing, it is kind of a waste of time, especially whatever you're socializing about. In my head, I'm like, oh, I could be sitting here reading a book, I could be doing my own thing in my own time and whatever. But the fact of the matter is, Allah didn't make us to be secluded. Allah did not make us to just be on our own. Seclusion has a time, socialization has a time, studying the deen has a time, being with family has a time. So what I would tell you is this: do not use the excuse that, I have a life, that I can't study the deen, because Allah made us to have a life and Allah made us to do all of these different things. So that's one thing. The other thing I would say is that with anything that we want, if we don't schedule it in our day, if we don't block out time for it, it's never going to happen. If you don't sit down and assess your day, your week, your schedule, then whatever you want to do, it's not going to happen. If you don't schedule, okay, I have classes on this day, when can I get my homework done? This day and that day during this hour, then you're never going to get it done. So what I would advise to us sisters is that, one, we need to block out time. We need to sit and assess our time and how our time is being used and see when. And it doesn't have to be something crazy. It can be 30 minutes. It could be an hour. It could be daily. It could be once a week. Whatever it is. Whatever works for you. Don't think of the end goal. And that's something that I've had to tell myself. Just think of the journey and enjoy that journey. And enjoy how every 30 minutes, this blocked out time, helps me get closer to my Creator, subhanAllah. What else I would want to say is that the brothers, husbands, discuss, if you're married, discuss with your husband. If you have children, I really want to study Islam. Can you please take the children on this day at this time and occupy them for just an hour so that I can study something? Discuss this with your family members, if you're with someone, if you live with someone else. And if you still have your children, then maybe sit down with your children and read Quran and recite Quran, and whatever you're studying, speak to them about it. You'll be surprised. Like, you might think, oh, it's boring, but you'll be surprised how much children are interested in things and how much they absorb, subhanAllah. The next thing you might ask me is, well, I can't study Islam classically. I can't go abroad. I can't go to the state. I can't, sign up for this year, thing, or whatever it is. So, for me, again, I'm a wife. I'm a mother, subhanAllah, to a young baby, a 6-month-old baby. And what I've been doing now is studying Islam through books. On my own, but when I say reading a book, I mean not just reading a book, subhanAllah, I mean sitting there and analyzing each line of this book, sitting there and analyzing how can I put this into practice, living out these books. When I see people with books and they have post-it notes and they have highlighters and they underline words, I'm like, that's being an active reader. That is what an active reader does. You're not just reading a book just to read it, just to finish it, subhanAllah. And it's not a race to finish a book if you're actively reading and you're going to put this thing into practice, subhanAllah. So that's what I've been doing. I am so blessed, subhanAllah, to personally know a mufti, to personally know people who are educated in Islam, and I personally can contact them and ask them for this, I have a question regarding Islam on this, that, and third. I'm confused about this, and can you answer this for me? And I feel like if you are someone, you're studying Islam on your own, you're reading a book maybe, or you can read Quran on your own and maybe get a commentary book about the Quran. You can buy, tafsir of Quran, and maybe you make that your study. That's your goal. Once a week, I'm going to read one commentary about this verse or whatever it is. And if whatever questions you have, even if in your head you're thinking, I have no one to ask, I have no one to answer my questions, write your questions down, write your thoughts down, write your reflections down. And if you have a masjid, maybe you can see if the imam would have time to sit and speak to you. If you're a sister, whatever it is, we should be able to have access to the imam. That should not be a problem. It wasn't a problem during the Prophet's time, subhanAllah. But if you feel shy, if you feel whatever, you can share your questions with your husband and say, when you go pray tonight, Maghrib or whatever, can you pull the sheikh aside? Can you pull the imam aside? And can you ask if he can answer these questions? And if they can, alhamdulillah. And if they can't, then subhanAllah, slowly but surely, ask Allah to guide you to these answers. Ask Allah to grant you people in your life who will guide you in your Islam, in your studies, in your endeavors, subhanAllah. You don't always have to go across the world to study Islam. There's nothing wrong. Islam encourages contemplation and reflection. I'm not sure who said this. I think it is I don't think it was a Sahaba. I think it is a scholar of the past. I'm not sure. But there is a saying that says 1 hour of contemplation is better than 60 years of worship. And I think what that means is, when I read that, when I hear that, is because you can just be worshiping for 60 years unconsciously. You can just be moving your body and fasting and doing all these things. But when you sit and reflect and contemplate, why do I do these things, and why does Allah ask us of these things? Then when you start doing the worship, you're conscious, you're alive. And what I have been focusing on lately, I'm going to wrap this up, but what I have been focusing on lately is focusing on when I'm living my life day to day, when I'm going about my day to day interactions with family members, with people. Am I on like pilot mode, auto mode? Am I just moving? Am I just talking? Am I just replying and just doing things? Or am I literally there? And I have just been focusing on being in this moment. When I'm spending time with my son, am I actively in this moment? A lot of the times I don't remember things. My husband goes, oh, I remember this, I remember that. And I don't know what he's talking about. I'm like, really? That happened, And then I think back, is it just that I have bad memory? Or was I not living in that moment? Was I not actively there? Was I zoned out? Was I thinking of something else? So now when I'm focusing, and the reason why I've been doing this is because I've been reading a book called Don't Be Sad. It's an Islamic book, and I urge every person to read this book. I think it's such an amazing book, and I've read it before. I have never finished it, but I got halfway through before, maybe like a year ago, but I wasn't actively reading it. But now, because I have certain things I'm going through, I have been really serious about reading it and focusing on it. And that's what I mean by studying Islam. Just get a book, any book that has, it's credited, it has good source, it's legit. And just focusing on that. Have a notebook, get a notebook, and write down your notes. Write down whatever you learn. I think everyone has time for that at night before you go to sleep, once in the morning when you wake up. And so I hope that this was, I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. There's so many sisters, there's so many makeup gurus, hijabi gurus, and well, that's great, and whatever it is, and I'm not judging anyone, whatever, I'm not judging any sister that does these things, whatever it is. But I just want to say that that's not all we have to offer. And that's not all we should have to offer to people. We should be able to offer more. We should be able to really have these intellectual conversations. And to those sisters, if you are hafiz in your community, if you're an alama in your community, do something for your community. Don't hide yourself away. Do not make yourself not available to other sisters. Make yourself available to other sisters. And if you are a sister who knows of a alama, and I'm saying this to myself, a hafiz, utilize them. I remember one friend told us that, in our community, there's a sister who is a hafiz. We never, I didn't know this. And she goes, yeah, because we don't utilize her. We don't utilize her knowledge. So if you know someone, if you know a sister that's knowledgeable, utilize her. Utilize her. Ask her questions. Spend time with her. Reach out to her. And if you're a sister that is educated on Islam, reach out to the others. And maybe we need to make communities in our houses. If the masjids are not doing enough for us as sisters, if the masjids are not having what we need to create these pockets, these environments of knowledge, of halaqah in our house, and where we can control the environment. We have our kids there. It's not a problem. We already know how our kids are going to make noise and need our time. And I think we need to start stepping up more in our communities and creating what we need. Because if someone else is not going to do it, then we need to do it because we're the ones in need. So I'll leave it at that. Leave a comment below. Is there anything else you sisters, as a Muslim woman, have you been focusing on, thinking on? Leave a comment. Suggest any other thoughts that you would like me to speak about, and I have no problem doing that and making videos about what you want to hear. So please comment, subscribe, press the notification bell because I have many more videos for you guys, and I'm very happy to be back. And thank you to all my new subscribers. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, may Allah bless us and guide us. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.